This Sunday is called the Palm Sunday of the Passion of the Lord. But why do we call Jesus' suffering just before his death his passion? Generally, this is not properly understood. We tend to think that passion here refers to Jesus' intense sufferings. This is right, but then we can still miss a key point. Passion comes from the Latin passio, meaning passiveness, non-activity, absorbing something more than actively doing anything. The passion of Jesus refers to that time in his life where his meaning for us is not defined by what he was doing, but rather by what was being done to him. The public life and ministry of Jesus can be divided into two parts. Jesus spent about 3 years preaching and teaching before being put to death. For most of that time, except the last day, he was very much the doer. He was in command. He was the active one, teaching, preaching, healing, performing miracles, giving counsel, eating with sinners, debating with religious authorities. Generally, by all kinds of activities, he was inviting the people into the life of God, the life of the kingdom. And he was busy, very busy. He was at times so pressured by people that he didn't even have time to eat. Therefore, for almost all of his public life, Jesus was actively doing something for others. However, from the time he walked out of the Last Supper room and began to pray in the Garden of Gethsemane, that activity stalled. He was no longer the one who was doing things for others, serving others, but the one who was having things done to him in the garden. They arrested him, bound his hands, led him to the high priest, then to Pilate. He was beaten, humiliated, stripped of his clothes, and eventually nailed to a cross where he died. This was his passion. That time in his life and ministry where he was no longer the doer and became the one who had things done to him. Sisters and brothers, it is remarkable that our faith teaches us that we are saved more through his passion, his suffering and death, than through all of his activity of preaching and doing miracles. How that does work? We have this priest, Father Ron Roelhelser, a popular columnist in our Herald newspaper. He shared the story of his sister who was a nun who died of cancer. She was a nun for more than 30 years. She loved her vocation very much. She was very much loved by the people. For most of those 30 years, she served hundreds of young women who attended a school run by her religious order. She loved those young women and was for them a mother, an older sister, a mentor. 9 months before she died, cancer struck her badly, and she spent the last moments of her life bedridden. Now, things needed to be done for her and to her. Doctors, nurses, her sisters in the religious community and others, friends and so on, took turns to take care of her. And like Jesus, from the time of his arrest and until the moment of his death, her body also was humiliated, led around by others, and streamed. Remember Jesus' words to Peter, when you were young, you put on your belt and walk where you liked. But when you grow old, someone else will put a belt on you and stretch you out, stretch your hands, and lead you to a place where you would rather not go. So this was her passion. She, the one who has spent so many years serving, doing things for others, now she had to submit to having things done to her, being served by others. But like Jesus, when she was helpless and no longer in charge, she was able, in that period of her life, to give life and meaning to others and touch others in a deeper way than she could when she was active and doing so many things for others. How? Simply through the weakness of her faith, through her patient suffering, her ability to let go, the calm, joyful, and serene manner she accepted what had happened to her. This could be a very common experience which we all witness in our own family, relatives and friends, parishioners, perhaps even your own lives now. There is a great lesson on this, on how we see the terminally ill, those so-called severely handicapped, the sick, on how we might understand ourselves when we are old or ill, helpless, and think we are useless and in need of care from others, totally dependent on others. A typical experience of poverty of spirit. So, sisters and brothers, the way of the cross teaches us that we, like Jesus, can give as much to others in our passion, that is our passivities, as in our activities. That when we are no longer in charge, no longer in power and control, humiliated, suffering, and unable even to make ourselves understood by our loved ones, our spouse, our children, our grandchildren, we are undergoing our passion. And like Jesus, have in that the opportunity to give our love and ourselves to others in a new and deeper way, precisely through the witness of our faith. They are the best means for our purification and sanctification. You may call it the dark night of the soul. Amen.